Hey guys, I'm Desiree. Welcome to my Inspired Human channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about reflectors and work. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Desiree. I'm a Reflector 5-1, and here on my channel, I really just talk about some inspiring concepts to help you understand yourself better, and lately my focus has been on human design. And before we go on, I just want to give a big fat thanks to everyone, to all of my subscribers, to everyone that comments, that everyone that reached out to me through Instagram and Facebook, because if it really wasn't for you guys telling me about your experience as a reflector, I really wouldn't have the information to make this video. So this video is going to be broken down into 5 parts. The first part, I'm going to talk and explain a little bit about what the perfect world hypothetically would look like if everybody lived according to their design. The second part is going to be about the common issues that reflectors have with work. Part 3 is going to be about how you can solve some of these issues relating to work if you are a reflector or if you are helping a reflector understand work. Part 4, I'm going to talk about some other things that you can look at in your chart if you want to understand and to gauge a better understanding of like the correct environment for you. And part 5, I'm going to talk about some famous reflectors work, and then also give you some ideas of some work that can be aligned for a reflector, and also bring in some advice and some comments from other reflectors on what they thought was more helpful for them in the workforce. So part 1, hypothetically, what would the workforce look like if everybody did and worked according to their type? Now, I gave some thought about this, and this is the scenario that I came up with. First, it begins with the manifestor, right? The manifestor is like, hey, I want to manifest something. I have this great idea and I need it to come to fruition. Now, the manifestor has the ability to start something. It doesn't have the ability to sustain something. So that is when the generator comes in. So the manifestor goes out into this cesspool of generators, and it's like, hey guys, I have this wonderful idea. I have this thing that I want to manifest. Who is with me? And the generators are looking at the manifestor with an uh-huh or an uh-uh. Most of the time, the generators are going to look at the manifestor and they're going to be like, no. The generators that are like, uh-huh, will go on board and follow the manifestor to do the work to help bring into fruition, to manifest this larger thing that is greater than, the sum of its parts, so to speak. Now we have the idea and we have the people that are willing to put into the work. However, it is the projector that actually comes in and manages the generators, because it's the projector that's going to be like, okay, this generator has this specific quality, it should be working here, and this one should be working here, and this one should be working here. And then what we have then is a correctly aligned work environment that can bring about this idea of the manifestor's vision, whatever the heck that is. Now, where does the reflector fit in? The reflector's role is to bring about a level of awareness of what is working and what isn't working in various types of environments. Even though we have all of these 3 other types, the manifestor, overseeing the vision and making sure that the manifestation is coming into part. We've got the generators that are actually doing the work, and then we got the projectors that are overseeing the generators to helping them bring about the manifestation. But what ends up happening is that it's not always working effectively and correctly, and that's where the reflector comes in. The reflector goes into these environments and we sample it and we say, oh, well, this is correctly aligned and this isn't correctly aligned. But the problem is that we don't really live in a workforce that is designed like this. Once a reflector goes into an environment and it is toxic, they begin to reflect back that toxicity. This is why environment is so important for a reflector. Now, because people are not really aware of their own type and really aware of the reflector gifts or what a reflector is able to do being a reflector, well, then the reflector gets all of those negative projections, and then all of a sudden, it's not the environment that's wrong and incorrect and toxic. It's the reflector. However, the consequences of living in a world that doesn't really understand your reflector nature or your reflector type can have consequences. Which brings me to part 2, and that is the issues that reflectors commonly have when it comes to work. And one of those issues is finding work, right? Finding work that is correctly aligned to you. And this is where you got to look at your whole body graph to see what is correctly aligned to you, because every reflector is different. So just because one reflector is working in a certain type of field does not mean that another reflector is going to work in the same exact field and have the same results. Now, another issue that reflectors have when it comes to work is fatigue, right? We burn out really easily because we're wide open. In order for a reflector to maintain energy, we have to borrow that from somebody else. And doing that for 8 hours for a on energy type, if you are a reflector or even projector, you're going to be susceptible to burnout. You're going to feel more fatigued and worn out more easily than, say, a generator or a manifestor. And another issue that reflectors have is that inconsistency. Now, it isn't strange for other types to have different jobs throughout their life, but it is different for a reflector, specifically because we naturally go through this whole moon cycle of every month of seeing different aspects of a certain topic, so to speak. Sometimes within that whole moon cycle, you may feel a certain way about something, and then eventually you're going to be met with that same opposition of like, okay, I don't want to do this. So it really does create a lot of confusion in the reflector's mind of what direction, where to go, because you change so much, or it feels like your focus and what you want to do changes so much. So when we're talking about reflectors and we're talking about the workforce, the reflector has a lot of issues that we have to overcome in order to get to a level of the financial security that we are seeking. So now part 3, what are some things that you can do to help you to navigate this work environment or to find work that is correctly aligned to you? And first one right off the bat is to follow your strategy. Follow your strategy. Please wait 28 days, wait the whole moon cycle. If you see a job opportunity coming your way or you're thinking about changing jobs, it's really important for you to give yourself enough time to look at all the different aspects and to see what the universe is bringing into your life regarding what direction you should be taking. Most important thing for a reflector to understand is their environment. No matter what environment you're in, you are going to reflect back that environment. And I wish our auras had like an on and off button, but they don't. You are going to take in everybody's stuff and you're going to amplify that. Now, you can get to a point where you can just kind of take it in and really feel these unwanted energies of other people and not really act upon it, or you don't really want to act upon it. You can get your mindset and your being to be at that level as long as you're meditating and you're spending time alone, because it is only through that time alone without being in anybody else's aura that you're able to distinguish being in somebody else's aura, right? You need to be able to compare and contrast those two as frequently as possible, just so that way you can understand what's yours and what is somebody else's. Another thing you want to keep in mind as you are a reflector and you're trying to find work is to practice non-attachment. Now, this isn't going to be the scenario for every reflector, but if you are a reflector and you need to work because you need to make an income, then you need to be understanding that it is very well possible that you may go through a period of time where you're changing one job and changing another job and you're working here just until you're actually able to find that correct alignment to you. And I'm going to show you what else to look for in your chart if you're looking for some advice onto what kind of environment is correctly aligned for you and your design. So the most important thing with human design and getting your chart is your type. That is the most important thing that you need to understand regarding human design and your strategy. If that's the only thing that you ever get out of human design, great. That's all you ever need. So the next thing you want to look at when you're looking at your type is your profile. Your profile is extremely important because the profile is considered to be the costume of your purpose. Now, your purpose in human design is not your incarnation cross. Actually, your purpose in human design is looked at your whole body graph, and to really get a real understanding of what your purpose here is on earth, you would have to assess the life from birth to death. Yeah, so don't get caught up in like trying to find your purpose when we're talking about this is the costume of your purpose. Rather, look at what is that costume of your purpose and understanding that what your profile means and experimenting with that. Because once you're experimenting with that costume and experimenting with those personality traits, you will begin to notice more of an alignment to who you actually are. And certain profiles are designed to operate more effectively in certain environments. I did make a video about going into more depth about what each line actually means, so you can watch that video here. I'll put a link down in the description below and have it on the end screen at the end of this one. But really begin to understand your profile and begin to experiment with that profile, because this will also align you correctly to your true being and where you need to go in life. Another thing you want to look for in your chart if you want to understand what environment is correctly for you, or this environment that your body is naturally going to gravitate towards, is you want to look at your design south node and your design north node. If you're like 38 and younger, you want to look specifically at your south node, and you want to understand that gate and that line, because that's where your body, right, not necessarily your mind, because this is your design, but this is where your design, your body consciousness is going to naturally gravitate toward. Because in human design, it is all about surrendering to your body, surrendering to the unconscious parts, surrendering to the fact that your body is already going to do what it needs to do. Now, if you're like between 38 and 43, this is the time when you will begin to notice and start to see that shift from, a certain environment that you were gravitating towards, more from your south node to your actual north node. So depending upon your age, that's what you really want to look at. You want to look at your design, which is in red, south node and the north node and the activating lines, and to understand that. All right, so we already know what the reflector needs to do and how the rest of the world really doesn't, operate that way. So we talked about the problems that reflectors have within work. We talked about some of the issues and how to deal with those issues. We talked about some other things to look for in your chart. Now I'm going to give you some examples of some famous reflectors, what they did for work, and then also give you some ideas and a list of things that other reflectors from the comment sections and also the Inspiring Reflectors Facebook group told me helped them understand and navigate the work field a little bit better. So the famous reflectors include Rosalind Carter, who was the wife of Jimmy Carter. He was a U.S. president. Sandra Bullock, she's an actress. Edward Munch, he is a German poet, which is no surprise. I myself write poetry, and I know a lot of other reflectors that write poetry as well. Thorwald Deffelsen, he was a German psychologist and author of esoteric literature. So again, reflectors can be really great at writing, really great at conveying what they're feeling, because we feel everything, and putting that on paper for the rest of the world to enjoy. And then Amachi, or Amma, I don't know if you've heard of Amma. She's like the hugging saint. She has a really huge following, and she's really famous and really popular in India. She's an Indian saint. Scott Hamilton, he was an ice skater, a gold medal Olympian. Kind of interesting to know. It's something a little bit out of the norm, but it really just goes to show you that reflectors really can fit in anywhere. Okay, so you made it this far. Let me share some wonderful, deep, and exclusive things that I found that other reflectors are saying from the comment section, and then also from the Facebook group, about being a reflector and work. So some things other reflectors are saying that helps them is to follow their strategy. Once they follow their strategy, then that we're able to get the answers that they need regarding on what direction to take in work. Others reflectors were saying that it was best for them to work for themselves, even as a hairstylist, and creating that own perfect environment, even though they have a degree in like psychology, but doing more of like incorporating what they do, like hairstyling, and then also healing, but providing that environment that is correctly aligned to them, that can be healing also for their clients. Other reflectors are saying that they are therapists, that they are meeting with clients, that they're coaches, because as a reflector, we can get into that environment or that aura, or even talking with somebody, and then help them identify some of their own issues and some of their problems. And that's really what therapy, counseling, and coaching is all about, right? It's all about, looking at things from an objective perspective, and then helping the client and helping the person become more aware of some of the issues that they're having in their own life. So, counseling, coaches, therapists, healers, Reiki healers, you can be tarot, you can be an astrologer, you can go into any kind of field of esoteric science, of mysticism. Those are jobs that are aligned to a reflector. And if you're a reflector and you want to incorporate like your home life into your work life, or you want to work from home, there are many things that you can do. You can do freelance work. You can be a creative of some sort. You can do print on demand. You can create digital things, digital products. You can sell them on Etsy, or you can do eBay. You just have to be mindful, though, that these type of things for a reflector can be slow to pick up to where you're actually making a large amount of money to like fully sustain yourself. If you have that financial support, or if you have like financial security, and you can just go and do about whatever, I would suggest you to take some time off, wait a couple moon cycles to see what actually comes through, what resonates with you, to see what kind of work that you actually want to do. If you are a reflector and you're finding that you are having some issues with finding work, or you want to bounce some ideas off of some other reflectors, or you're just really looking for some support, please join the Inspiring Reflectors Facebook group. I know that reflectors kind of have this issue or this little bit of funk regarding social media. I kind of took a break from it, but I do have just a private account that I use. I go on to the Facebook group and I check in at least daily to welcome new members and see what's going on there, and really provide any kind of help and guidance. So that's it. I'll see you there at the Inspiring Reflectors Facebook group, and until next time, bye.